Well, hello, Taylor, and welcome to the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Please start by telling us a little bit about you and how you came to IHP in the integrative health world.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to dive in, share a little bit more about my story and how IHP has really helped me get to where I am today. So I discovered IHP, I would say a few years ago, where at the time I had been doing, or I had a skincare company. And through my company, Sonoest, and so I used to formulate all of our products. I had been doing different pop-up events and I was a vendor at certain markets. And I ended up meeting, or one of my customers was an IHP graduate. And during these events, I had been educating all of our customers about gut health, hormone health, and really our skin health, and just how important it is not only to take care of ourselves externally, but also internally. And as I was educating all of our customers and our clients, I knew I wanted to continue to help others and educate them. And IHP was the perfect opportunity. And it really allowed me to do so where I can do something that I'm passionate about. And it allowed me to take that next step in my business.
I love that. And are you still doing the skincare line?
I am not. My business has expanded, but I am still working with clients one-on-one along with in a group setting as well.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about what your business looks like?
Yes. So my business has expanded, like I just mentioned, where I'm not doing skincare anymore due to the loss of my grandmother. So 2 years ago, this was the first time I ever experienced great loss. And she was a huge part of the company. We would bottle together and she helped me tremendously. However, during that process, when I would fulfill orders for customers, I noticed that my heart wasn't in it the same way. However, I did want to help others. That is something that I'm so passionate about, and just allowing others to really just become that best version of themselves. So I did do a little bit of a deep dive and just really went inward to see what I can do to continue to expand my business and keep helping others become the best version of themselves, not only externally, internally, spiritually, really just on all levels, because our health is intertwined. We have so many different aspects of ourselves. And my sister and I, through the grieving process, we noticed that there's a huge gap in women and really just individuals in general, that grief has to be normalized, where for us, we were experiencing different emotions and feelings. And thankfully, we did have each other to overcome such a challenging time. However, we knew that there's so many other people out there that are experiencing the exact same thing and feelings that we're experiencing. And this can be from grief through the loss of a loved one, or the grief in a transitional period of your time, or just through breakups, through relationships, or the grief of when mothers give birth to their new baby. They may be grieving their old life, and now you have a whole new perspective on life. So we knew that there's so many people experiencing these emotions and feelings, and we decided to expand our business. And at the time, I was doing health coaching. However, we wanted to do something that was a little bit more in person. So I closed one chapter, and as a solo entrepreneur for a few years, I decided to go in business with my sister. And we ended up opening up a whole wellness studio where we offer different healing modalities and energy healing that also helped us through the grieving process.
That's amazing. Do you still do virtual, or is it all exclusively, in person now?
I do virtually as well, depending upon what the client is looking for. So I am also a sound healer, theta healer, along with the integrative health practitioner and yoga instructor as well. So I do incorporate the IHP with my one-on-one clients, where if we are doing an energy healing session and something does come up health related, we are able to continue to implement that into their healing plan.
That's amazing. I love how you
Thank
combine all the
you.
different, all the different modalities. And I
Thank
guess I don't
you.
know a lot about theta and sound healing. Can you give us a little bit of an overview about how that can impact the mind and body?
Yeah, so theta healing is incredible when it comes to working with the mind and the subconscious. So our subconscious mind controls 95% of our day-to-day life, where that conscious mind kicks in for the remainder 5%. And when we're living through fear, we're living out of the area of lack in our body. And with the subconscious mind, at the end of the day, it really just wants to keep us safe. And we could be living out of fear, or we could live out of love. And when we are able to access the theta brainwave state, we're also able to access the subconscious mind and see where all of your limiting beliefs are held, your fears, doubts, any worry, where it's also linked in the body. We're able to clear that. And the great thing with theta healing, we're able to reprogram the different fears or any limiting beliefs, along with doing intuitive body scans. So that's where the IHP comes in beautifully, and I'm able to link and tie them together. So if things do come up during sessions or when we are doing an intuitive body scan, for example, if I am guided to different organs or the gut, intuitively, I'm able to see if there are parasites. Maybe a client was exposed to mold, or maybe they have a little bit of built up candida. However, I'm able to take it to that next level and say, hey, let's run some tests, let's run some labs, so that it also shows the client that they do have something going on within them, and they do have that data to back it up. Therefore, I'm able to muscle test them to see which vitamins, supplements, or even foods will support the body when they are healing. And then once we do receive all of the lab results, if they do choose to run them again, more data is always great. We're able just to continue to fine tune their plan.
Yeah, that's amazing, because I'm all about muscle testing and all of that, but I know a lot of people they need more data. Have you
Exactly.
found with a lot of people, like, you'll scan them and you'll tell them, okay, this is what I'm finding, but they'll be like, how can you prove that? Do you get a lot of that type of pushback?
I would say yes and no. And that's where muscle testing comes in beautifully. So, because again, the body is not going to lie to you. When you're in alignment with something, the body is going to sway one way or another. So I would say yes and no. But again, I'm someone that I do like to see the visuals. So for clients, it really depends upon them.
Yeah, no, I think it's all, based on who you're talking to. Is like, some people
Exactly.
need to see the data, need to see the test results, whereas some people, a standard muscle test will be enough. I used to do a
Exactly.
lot of muscle testing on my clients and athletes, to where, they would be struggling with their energy, and they'd have a really bad sensitivity to bananas, and they cut out the
Yep.
bananas and their performance skyrockets,
Yep.
just that one thing. And I know you can go
Exactly.
much farther beyond that as well.
Absolutely. Muscle testing is incredible. And when I work with clients in sessions, I tell them and I walk them through it so that they also have an understanding that you're not only receiving healing physically within the session, but you're able to take away something that you could continue to use throughout your day-to-day life. Where if you want to muscle test to see if you are between decisions, or just like you said with food, it's a great thing. Or sometimes I always give the example that we always want more coffee or more of something, but it may not really be in alignment with ourselves, or it may not be in our highest and greatest good. So I say, muscle test it. I'll walk you through this. That way you still remember and you still know how to do this. And you can use it the next day to see if, hey, maybe that second cup of coffee is okay, or maybe it's not. And maybe you just have to just give yourself a little grace and just rest.
I love that, because I think it's also one of those tools that people can do at home, and there's so few things other than normal habits, but there's so few things that people can do to really assess, how much of something, or how much less they should have. And I love that part of it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
body's a powerhouse. You really just have to give it the right tools, I don't want to say the right juice, because that could be taken out of context. But once you do give it the right tools, the right things, it will respond as well. The body will talk to you. If you ask it, questions, if you can talk to your organs, you could talk to your cells, your tissues, body will respond to you. Just have to be open to it.
Yeah. And it's so smart. It's so smart. It could barely be touching something that it knows is doing it or bringing it backward. And, your body, it'll show in these muscle tests. And, I had an experience where I was muscle testing a friend of mine, a male who, weightlifts every day. And he was, didn't believe he had any sensitivities. Turns out he was sensitive to almost everything, and he was able to make some serious adjustments based on that and do a little bit of elimination, and things were able to improve, and he was able to see results really quickly. But it was so interesting because seeing that with one food, you can lift me off the ground, and the next food, I can go like this, and it just, you drop, your arm drops to the ground. And know how much it's weakening you. Right?
It's so true. And I actually have a client right now we're working through some autoimmune symptoms. And if it wasn't for me listening to my intuition and saying like, you know what, I think we should muscle test a few things. They didn't come up in session. However, after, I'm like, I just know we need to muscle test a few different diseases. Immediately swayed forward for yes. And now we're able to, or she is on the correct protocol, and every day she is improving. And it's just beautiful to be part of the healing journey, because I'm someone that also experienced an autoimmune disease back in 2018. So when clients come to me and they're like, oh, I'm just so tired, or they're experiencing certain symptoms, I'm like, I know exactly how you feel. I get it. But you can heal. There is a way to heal. We just have to tailor, fine tune your habits, your routine, and the body will heal itself. We're just giving it that little extra push.
Yeah. And you're giving them a lot of hope too, because,
exactly.
That's a lot of the times people need when they've been sick a long time. I'm in the same spot. I was sick most of my life, and I always seem to have hope, but most people don't, because they have tried so many things that often make them worse, because they maybe didn't approach it in the right way, or they were just throwing more and more and more. And sometimes it's about less.
Exactly. If we just pull back, take a step back, and we're able to just get a little bit more of that bird's eye view of what is going on, we're able to reassess and really, again, just give the body what it truly needs. And once the body it has those tools, it will respond accordingly.
Yeah. And I latched onto something you said maybe 5 minutes ago, but
That's okay.
Lack. You mentioned lack, and this is something that I think everyone should have a really clear understanding of, is the difference between approaching something from lack versus abundance. Can you kind of touch on that a little bit?
Yes. So when we are living out of lack, we are living out of fear. And I always ask myself two things to see if I am living out of fear or if I'm living out of love. So I always ask myself if there's something that I know I want to do. However, it may be uncomfortable, or it may be something that I am stepping out of my comfort zone. I ask myself, am I choosing to stay comfortable out of love or out of fear? 9 times out of 10, it will be out of fear, because again, subconsciously, the body wants to stay safe. And that's why it ends up creating these different limiting beliefs, fears, doubts, or even just a little bit of anxiety. But once we continue to show up for ourselves, maybe you don't have to fully step out of your comfort zone right away. However, maybe just start to dip your toe out of that comfort zone. And little by little, you're able to start to make those different changes, whether it be towards healing, towards a new job, or just in a social setting where you're able to start to choose yourself and choose to live out of love. Not only your body begins to heal, but those around you and the world also becomes just clearer and just a little bit more of a safer place too.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so important, because when I was going through my healing journey, and all the clients I've worked with, we're all in pain avoidance mode. We're all so afraid of that next hospital visit or the next crazy migraine headache, right? Yeah. And so it drives a lot of our decisions.
Exactly.
And it holds us back from doing a lot of the things that would get us into a better spot.
It's true. And I see it with clients as well, where the disease or the illness becomes them. And we're giving so much power to our disease, to our illness. But what if you asked yourself, what if I was well? What would I be doing? What would it feel like to be well, to be healthy? And that's where we end up giving it our control, our power. And it's time that we really do take our power back, because we're in the driver's seat. Don't let that disease control you. Allow yourself the opportunity to heal and to really show up as your most authentic self, so that you can achieve all of your dreams, goals, desires, and optimal health as well.
Yeah. And so many people that I work with, and myself, I was guilty of this, is I self-identified with my disease. And then you latch onto it. Yeah. And that means you're not willing to kind of look outside the box at other things, because you think this is what it is. This is how I'm stuck. I'm going to, Google what this means. And, it's going to kind of allow me to experience the symptoms the way other people do, as opposed to, realizing that you're not your disease. And, most diseases are just a combination of symptoms, right? And that you can, move through them and have a positive mindset toward it, and continue to do the things that you love. It doesn't, it shouldn't shut you down from that. And I was shut down for years. And, I think so many people are, that it's hard to get over that roadblock. And you mentioned resetting your subconscious.
Yep, it's so true. And the mind is so powerful. And depending upon what we're feeding it, it's going to respond accordingly. Where if we're telling ourselves, I am sick, the body's going to continue to spiral and create illness. Or if you're telling your body that you are well, it will create optimal health. And I don't know if you're familiar with Joe Dispenza.
Yes.
But I love him. And he has, so I don't know if you've also watched his documentary on Gaia TV, Rewired.
Not yet. No.
Okay. You have to watch it. You will love it. And to all those listening as well, definitely, I highly, highly, highly recommend watching his documentary along with his books. But there's one episode where he speaks about illness and how you can connect with your body and how you can create illness. And then he also mentions this study that they did back with the military, where there was a dentist, and there was a few soldiers who were going in for dental treatment. However, they ran out of anesthesia, and they were telling the soldiers that they were injecting them with anesthesia. However, it was saline. And because they were telling the soldiers that you're numb, you'll be fine getting through the dental work, they consciously kept telling themselves, oh, I'm fine, I'm numb. And they were able to get through the entire treatment. However, the soldiers were not numb. But that's how powerful the mind is, where if you really tell yourself, I am powerful, I am healthy, I am abundant, your body is going to respond accordingly. The cells are going to know that, yes, I am healthy, I am abundant, or vice versa. It can spiral down in the opposite. So it's really, you have the power to create your own reality. You just have to choose wisely and choose accordingly.
Yeah. And I think this is such an important component to healing, that most health coaches, health practitioners, they don't dive really deep into the mental side and how you think impacts your cells. We dive into the core building blocks of cells and the root causes and the foundations, but there's so much you can dive into in the emotional and the spiritual side that can have a significant impact on how someone's disease or their symptoms manifest, and how, they live their day-to-day life. And that was something that I didn't find until later in my health journey, which I wish I had found earlier. because there were so many components now. I'm like, every chapter I read of these books, I'm like, my life is totally changed. I wish I knew this 20 years ago. I have to tell everyone I know, you know?
It's true. And when we do start to just open our eyes to the different tools, because everyone wants to know what's wrong with them. However, it may not be just, oh, you have heart disease, where it may just be maybe at an earlier time in life, you didn't receive your father's love. And subconsciously, the mind started to create these different patterns. And in order to receive love, maybe it's safer for you to have illness, and therefore you end up creating these patterns. But again, it's subconsciously, because at the end of the day, the body and the mind just wants to be safe, and that's all it knows.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for diving into that. I'm so happy our audience got to hear that, because hopefully it, encourages people to go, learn from Dispenza and to dive deeper into these kinds of modalities, because there's such a great, component and thing you can combine with your integrative health knowledge. And it's just such a powerful tool, because so many coaches have other certifications. I'm finding that's so common. Is I'm meeting people who have 5, 6, 10 different certifications. Wow. And they're kind of bundling them all together, and creating their own unique approach, which is what you've done. You've combined the IHP, you've combined the theta, the beta, the yoga, all these different healing practices. And it's provided and given you the ability to truly help people in a unique way, which is how you've been so successful in, just like you said, maybe 2 years. And so one of the things I kind of would love to help our audience with is like how you successfully transitioned to a brick and mortar that's so successful, and you're able to like gain clients. How are you able to gain clients kind of on and offline?
Thank you so much. That truly means the world to me. Just because I always say I really just follow in God's lead. And if you told me 2 years ago that I would have a storefront studio with my sister doing something that we're so passionate about, and being able to see when I say miracles of people healing, it's money cannot put a price tag on the beautiful things that we're able to really be part of and witness on a day-to-day, on the daily basis. But it's been such a blessing. But I do say that I really just followed God's lead and really listened to my intuition, and knowing that in order to get to where I am today, I had to close one door. And yes, it was challenging, where I put my heart and soul and tears into, or blood, sweat, tears, you name it, it went into one business. And in order to get to the next, I had to close it. And I would say, without the help of my family and without the help of my sister, and we turned I would say a heavier situation into a lighter situation, where we were able to find purpose and power into it. Because thankfully we did have each other to overcome the journey of grief. But we, again, knew that there were so many others going through the same thing. And that's what really drove us, was community, where that's something that we were looking for through the grief journey, or through the grief healing, where we didn't have that community. And it was something that we were looking for. And one day we just came together and we're like, I think we just need to build it. We had absolutely no plan at the time, no idea what we were doing. And however, I did have a little bit of that business back end, or that business background from the prior experience. And I really just took everything that I learned, and I'm like, you know what? I think we'll just figure it out on our own. We'll just continue to follow God's lead and see what is unfolding in front of us. And little by little, we started to just build Empwrd Sol. And for marketing, we do rely, I wouldn't say we rely on social media, but we do dedicate a lot of our time to social media, to areas of where our target audience is. However, word of mouth has been a huge success for us.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned purpose, because so many people struggle to really define their purpose and to be able to do the inner work needed to figure out what aligns with them. Right. And you were able to make that decision and move forward in something that was brand new and probably really scary. And it was amazing to have your family there with you. But at the same time, you had to bring in all new clients. You had to kind of figure it out from scratch and create this method where you were combining all these different, these different modalities. And because of that, because of the passion, because of the purpose, because of your want to serve others, it's created probably what I would call a referral machine. It's like you're giving people results, you're giving people wins. They are coming back and they're telling all their friends. Yeah, right. And exactly. That's how you really successfully fill a business. Any type of business is, referrals are the number one way to get clients. You can promote on social media all you want, but the number one way to convert a new person is if someone refers them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it sounds like you're very successful with that.
Thank you. And that's exactly what we do, because you could only post and show up so much on social media, where that can be a job in itself, and it is exhausting. And I've done that. That's how I grew my previous business. And again, it was exhausting. And through the lessons that I learned from that, I was telling my sister, I'm like, we cannot be doing the exact same thing that I did previously, because it took a toll on my physical health. And so we did make those shifts. And when we do post on social media, yes, you can explain everything that will go into a sound bath, how you'll feel. But until a client fully delves in and experiences it for themselves, it truly speaks for itself.
Yeah, I think, again, it's such a unique modality, right? And it's like I've done a lot of alternative treatment in my life, so much. And one of them that I always I remember the first time I did it, because it was so mind blowing, was cranial sacral. It was so unbelievably mind blowing, and my entire body shifted. It started making all these crazy noises, and I had more energy than I'd had in years. And I've had that happen with a lot of different tools, but until I'd experienced that, if I had seen a post or an ad, like, I would have had no idea. Yeah. And so with the types of things that you do, and it's such a unique combination that once you get one person in the door, that could bring in 10 other people. Yep.
Exactly.
But again, you've created this unique solution to a problem. And, I forgot to ask, like, do you have a very specific audience or niche that you target?
I would say yes and no. Yes, I would say our target audience is that the 20s to 40s, women who are looking for that community, that safe haven, or maybe they are feeling great. How can we continue to support you along your journey? Or if you are someone that did experience some sort of challenging time, hey, this is your safe haven that you can come to, be your authentic self. If you have to cry, we're here for you. We are going to support you along your journey. However, we do open our doors to anyone and everyone across all demographics, ages, races, you name it. Everyone is welcomed into our house. We like to say it because I actually didn't mention this earlier, but we turned our grandma's apartment into our studio. So it's just such a sacred space for us. So it has brought us so much healing throughout our lives, where now we're able to open the doors and allow and reciprocate that healing and this sacred space to our clients and to our members. So it's really, once they step through those doors, they truly become soul family.
Oh, I love that. Soul family.
Thank you.
What's the name of your studio?
It's Empwrd Sol, but we did take out all of the vowels in Empwrd. So it's EMPWRD. And then we do spell soul differently. So it's SOL. So it's not only your soul, but also the sun. And then that ties in the empowerment and just being able to feel and just ignite your fire within such a safe community and safe haven.
That's an amazing, wonderful message. And
Thank you.
tying it in with your grandma, who is obviously part of the purpose of why you started it, is amazing, especially because you're working with your sister,
Yeah.
which is like the whole family and the community part. And that is a big part of what's missing in the world, obviously. And where is this located?
So we're located in Secaucus, New Jersey, which is just outside of Manhattan, and we're in the metropolitan area. So there are many ways to access us or to come and visit us. We are just off of the highway right outside of the Lincoln Tunnel. So if you are in the metropolitan area, we would love to have you come visit. Or if you are even across the US or world, you are always more than welcome to come into our studio.
Well, I'll definitely be stopping by if I ever visit the area.
Absolutely. We would love that.
And where can people find you online?
So we are on TikTok and Instagram at Empwrd Sol. So it's EMPWRD SOL. And then our website is www.empwrdsol.com. And to book classes, you can either use ClassPass or MindBody as well.
Okay, amazing. And I always like to ask people, if this episode could reach millions of people, what is, one message you would love to share with the world?
I think that I would love to share with the world is that I would say choose love, and in a way that it allows you to ignite your fire, where you're able to come back home to yourself. And we are always wrapped up in fear or the what ifs and shoulds. But life is so short. And I know so many people say that every single day, but until you truly experience it, allow yourself to just be and to be fearless and ask yourself, but what if I did? What if I did choose to live out of love? And what opportunities and blessings am I opening myself up to? Because you may just be surprised and mind blown over the things that truly will come to fruition for you.
That was beautiful. Thank you. And that message absolutely should be shared with the world. So I just wanted to say thank you again for joining us. This was a total honor. And I hope people reach out to you online because, again, what you do is so unique. And again, thank you. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube or any of our podcast channels. And I hope to connect with you again soon.
Thank you so much. This was such a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely.